Welcome back to the channel. This is Ready Storm and you are watching first part of What If Naruto Was Fallen Emperor of Outworld. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
I am Shao Kahn, Conqueror of worlds. You will taste no victory. I was once the ruler of Outworld. I am Shao Kahn. And you will bow to me. I was its emperor. Feel the power of Shao Kahn. I challenged all who opposed me. Feel the wrath of Shao Kahn. From the elder gods. The elder gods fear me, now. To the thunder god Raiden. Now, Raiden. Your world ends. I was once the advisor to the previous emperor Onaga, the Dragon King, before I killed him and took the throne. I am emperor now. I was a warrior. You will die, mortal. I was a conqueror. You will never win. But who was I before that, you ask? My answer to you? I was a boy. Loser. I was naive. One day I will become Hokage and everyone will look up to me. I was weak. The demon is powerless. Kill it. Avenge Yondaime-sama and our loved ones. I was once a shinobi of Konoha located in Fire Country. I never go back on my word. That's my Nindo. My name? Uzumaki Naruto. Baka. Why don't you just die? No one loves you. And I was betrayed by the village I loyally served, even if they didn't deserve my loyalty. For harming the last Uchiha of Konoha with your demonic powers, by the power invested in me as the Gondem Hokage Senju Tsunade, hereby sentence you Uzumaki Naruto to death. And that was putting it mildly. From the beginning. Naruto was tied to a pole, had chakra-draining rope wrapped around his neck, suppression cuffs, spiked chains covering his exposed bleeding torso, and one wrapped around his neck to force him to look up at the woman he brought back to be Hokage. Of course, she was staring at him, and he, in turn, was enraged by her betrayal. Naruto was restrained after bringing back the rogue Uchiha, and was sent to the prison cells beneath the Hokage Tower, where T and I were ordered by the Hokage herself to get answers from him about what happened by any means necessary, as long as it didn't break the seal holding Kyuubi. That is exactly what they did. Morino Ibiki and Mitarashi Anko led them. Neither they nor their subordinates appeared to be concerned about their target's health. How could they? It would be detrimental to their careers. Initially, Naruto told them what happened with Sasuke in the Valley of the End before anything happened. Isn't it simple? Wrong. Naruto barely got the words out, but within seconds of telling them what had happened, he was attacked, demanding the truth, and Naruto again told them what had happened word for word. I was hoping they would see the light. They didn't, however. They did not relent in their tactics. Again, he told them the truth, but by the fourth time telling it in the hopes of stopping the abuse, Naruto knew it wouldn't work, and it only got worse. They called him a lair, a demon in human skin, a monster who couldn't speak the truth, and they all tried their hardest to beat the real truth out of Naruto. Despite this, Naruto's story never changed, and each passing second only made them hurt him more. When they realized Naruto wouldn't change his story no matter what, they unexpectedly stopped their assault, but summoned Tsunade and Jiraiya to confront him. On this day, Naruto was told that his entire life, as bad as it had been growing up, and pretty much everything else he had been taught, was a lie. The Sandaime Hokage was not dead, as everyone had assumed. As Naruto was led to believe. His demise was staged. Orochimaru's assassination attempt? Staged. It's all there. The Sandaime Hokage was back, in a new, much younger body, and feeling better than ever, thanks to his former student Orochimaru, of all people, who had provided it for him. His two godparents, who also revealed this to him, informed Naruto of the plan to baptize Konoha in fire, blood, and war. One that would prepare the next generation of shinobi for an even bigger war that the Toads and higher-ups were planning to use to make the Leaf the dominant, if not the only, shinobi village left in the elemental countries. At the same time, Jiraiya and Tsunade revealed that the Sandaime Hokage skillfully designed Naruto's childhood, filling it with abuse, pain, suffering, and anguish. It was done to solidify the boy's loyalty to the village while keeping him too weak to fight back when the time came to subdue him if he became too unruly for their liking. The fact that Naruto defeated Sasuke, who had far more shinobi training than the other rookies in his graduating class, said a lot to them. The fact that Kakashi only taught Sasuke the entire time demonstrated to the higher-ups that Uzumaki Naruto had grown far too powerful for their liking. That, if left unchecked or allowed to grow, would make the Jinchuriki a threat to the village if he ever learned the truth about his heritage, which they had purposefully kept hidden from him. So, in order to keep the village as a whole and their overall plans from being jeopardized further, they decided to cut their losses. And by cutting their losses, they meant completely removing Naruto from their lives by killing him before anyone outside of Konoha knew what was going on. But, surprisingly, that wasn't the worst news Naruto received that day. Namikaze Minato's own father, the Yondaime Hokage, was still alive. And it's not just him. His wife, Uzumaki Kushina, and their daughter, Uzumaki Naruko, were also alive. Minato sealed half of the fox inside himself and the other inside Naruto on the night of the Kyuubi's attack. But no one knew, except those in the highest positions in Konoha, that a plan based on Jiraiya's Child of Prophecy had been devised to ensure Konoha was unrivaled by the world. The strategy was straightforward. Minato, Kushina, and Naruko were supposed to go into hiding. The Sandaime would be reinstated as Hokage of Konoha until the time came for him to emerge from hiding. The plan was for Orochimaru to assist in the provision of a body for the slowly aging old man to transfer his soul into and thus extend his life through the new body. Naruko would be trained by both of her parents to return and claim her birthright as a Namikaze and an Uzumaki. Naruto, on the other hand, got the short end of the stick due to the nature of the plan. Why? Because he was not wanted by Minato or Kushina. Kushina had always wanted a girl. She was opposed to having a son. Raising a son meant raising a potentially perverted boy. She didn't want that, and she didn't want to raise a child with some whiny boy. But a girl like her daughter would be simple because they would bond, laugh, and have a great time together because they have similar personalities. Why should she waste her time bonding with a boy who could be similar to Minato? Why should she bother raising a son who will never understand her as he grows up? Way too much work. It was better to just leave the brat in the village so they could get their kicks out of hurting the boy and turning him into the weapon they had planned from the beginning. Minato, like Kushina, preferred a daughter over a son because he disliked having male offspring and preferred a daughter to spoil silly. The former Yondaime Hokage was also concerned that if Naruto possessed Kushina's personality, he would consume too much of Minato's time. The man didn't want to deal with the brat because he could spend his time doing more constructive things rather than dealing with the boy. Besides, Minato needed time to master his newfound abilities and wasn't about to risk the possibility of the Kyuubi's two halves accidentally reuniting. When Jiraiya told them what Naruto had done at the Valley of the End, beating the supposed best Leaf shinobi of his generation, the family returned, and they were now among those willing to see the Kyuubi Jinchuriki die by public execution. So this is how it will end for me, huh? Everything I did for you, this village, and those pricks here now openly demanding my blood. Was it all a lie? Tsunade just stared at Naruto as he asked. Naruto, you are a tool. A tool that has grown far too knowledgeable and powerful. We will not let you grow strong enough to exact your vengeance on us. Not now, with the truth revealed to you. Anyway, Tsunade replied as Naruto growled at her. Take a look at it this way, brat. In the long run, your death benefits us, Jiraiya remarked with a smirk on his face. And how do you figure that, you perverted old shit? Naruto asked before his face was grabbed hard by Jiraiya and they were staring each other down. Because when you die, Kyuubi will manifest in 9 years, and we can easily reseal it as Naruto. With the power of our child of prophecy and both father and daughter being Jinchuriki with the seal, we can do serious damage to Konoha's enemies and bring this world to heel. The true prophecy child. Not some wuss like you. Jiraiya replied before Naruto bit his hand hard and drew blood. If I'm that weak, I shouldn't have been able to make you bleed, Naruto countered before being punched in the face by Jiraiya. Jiraiya, enough. For causing harm to the last Uchiha of Konoha with your demonic powers, I, Senju Tsunade, the Gondam Hokage, hereby sentence you to death, Tsunade declared before Minato took the stage, playing to the crowd and chanting his name, his family beaming with pride and supporting him every step of the way. Is there anything else you want to say before I put an end to you, son? Is there anything else you want to say to your father before the end? Minato asked mockingly, looking down at his son, who stared up at him with furious and cold blue eyes. Yeah. Actually, I do. Fuck you, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and the old fuck monkey Sarutobi standing beside them. As an Uzumaki, I make you a promise based on my own blood. A promise that I will not let death prevent me from exacting my vengeance. I'm going to return to this village in some way, and when I do, you're all going to die, and there isn't a soul in this world or any other that can stop me. Naruto exclaimed as his eyes turned red and glowed with rage burning behind them. Time slowed for the blonde at that moment, and he found himself in his mindscape before the fox himself. I can help you fulfill that promise, young one, Kyuubi offered as Naruto looked at him skeptically. And why exactly should I seek assistance from you of all beings? Asked Naruto, his face solemn. Because, like it or not, boy. I'm your only chance of even having a chance at burning this village to the ground and everyone in it who has sided with your so-called family now waiting to see you die, Kyuubi replied, his eyes narrowing at him. Bullshit. You just want to exact your vengeance on me. Naruto exclaimed, the fox looking enraged. Even if that were true, does it really matter how you get your revenge as long as you get it? We get our vengeance at the same time. Do you think my other half enjoys being imprisoned in the Yondaime? I can tell he wants to leave, but the fool's seal prevents him from doing so. Imagine what they'll do when I appear 9 years after you die. I'll be sealed back up into your so-called sister and used as a weapon in their war machine. I will not be applied in this manner. Kyuubi declared, with Naruto nodding because he could see the fox's point of view. Okay. I'll assist you in exacting your vengeance if only so I can exact mine. However, there is one issue. How do we get out of Konoha? I'm currently bound by nearly every seal that prevents you from giving me the power to break free, and nearly everyone capable of further suppressing you has my body surrounded. It's not much of an escape if I can't even break free from my shackles, Naruto stated as Kyuubi nodded. That is why we will pray to a higher power to set us free. The strength of the elder gods. Kyuubi replied before turning to his right, and Naruto followed his gaze to a seal design the boy hadn't seen before today. Gods of the elders? How? Inquired Naruto, feeling compelled to visit the strange seal surrounded by what appeared to be dragons. Put your chakra into that seal and beg the elder gods to honor their agreement when they assisted the Yondaime in creating this damn seal that is holding me back. Normally, Calling on any god for a sealing like mine necessitates the formation of a contract or pact on the grounds that the intentions for the sealing were noble. This seal in front of you is a failsafe for notifying them that the contract has been violated. Request that they transport you from one realm to another. But be cautious. The realm you are transported to by their hands will be so random that not even they will know where you end up. The realm in question could be hell itself, for all we know. It wouldn't be so bad for me, but not so much for you, with Naruto staring at him, Kyuubi said. Oh my goodness. Thank you for forewarning me while also scaring the crap out of me. Naruto said this before placing his hands on the seal and channeling chakra into it. Everything I say, repeat after me. If it is not spoken outside of your mind, the elder gods will not hear. Hurry. Your cretinous father is about to deliver the killing blow. Kyuubi said this before telling Naruto what to say. When Naruto's vision returned to the outside world, he noticed Minato's sword held high above his head, about to be brought down on the boy's head. However, before he could succeed, Naruto's hands shot to the ground, channeling as much of Kyuubi's chakra as he could into his throat, and his own chakra went to his fingertips. Within seconds, a seal that Minato, Jiraiya, and Kushina had never seen before materialized around his son. Gods of the Elders. Hear me out. The noble intentions contract you made with the mortal to seal up the Kyuubi inside me has been broken. I now implore you to honor your part of the agreement by using your power to save this vessel from a death he does not deserve. Naruto exclaimed to the heavens before the seal beneath him began to glow even brighter. What exactly is it? He must be stopped. Hiruzen, with the seal consuming Naruto in an ominous light that shot toward the sky, while dark clouds formed above and lightning struck in various places, ordered. Make use of your most potent fire jutsus. Kill the monster before he eludes you. Commanded a furious Tsunade, as she and every other shinobi performed hand signs for a fire jutsu and launched it at Naruto. Naruto held back his screams of pain as the fire ripped through his body and his flesh tore from being pulled away from the post he was tied to. The sky above, where a portal to another realm awaited him, was acting like a vacuum, sucking the boy in along with the large mass of fire that had burned his hair clean off. The sky cleared and it was all over when the portal finally closed. Naruto had vanished. He was finally free. But the promise of his return lingered in everyone's minds, and it became clear to those responsible for the betrayal that the boy might succeed in exacting his revenge. Naruto-kun. I'm sorry I couldn't help you the way I wanted to from the beginning. But I'm glad you're free, thought one person, possibly the only person in Konoha watching everything and crying because her crush was about to die. The girl's tears of sorrow turned to joy as she saw him escape his fate. And in that moment, Hyuga Hinata was inspired to fight to break her clan's intended fate. She was going to fight to get stronger and she wasn't going to let anyone stop her. From Outworld, the living forest. On the orders of their emperor Onaga, the Dragon King, a small group of Tarkatan demons patrolled the living forest. He had detected a schism in the realms, and something had inadvertently entered his domain in this part of his empire. I can smell it. Whatever entered Outworld is close by, while searching for their prey, one Tarkatan said. The Tarkatans quickly heard a groan and moved over to the small lump of burned cut-up flesh on the ground in front of them. It oozed demonic energy, but they could tell this creature, whatever it was or had been in life, was nearing the end of its cycle. What exactly is it? Is that a Netherrealm demon? While inspecting the creature, a second Tarkatan inquired. Perhaps an Oni. His lack of skin makes him look like one of their kind, another Tarkatan commented while kicking the body, and a groan was heard seconds later. We'll present it to the Dragon King. Our master will ultimately decide the fate of the creature, said the third member of the group before picking up the downed creature and dragging it to the Emperor's palace. Palace of the Dragon King. Why have you brought me this thing? Onaga demanded, not impressed by the creature his group of warriors had brought him. He was the being you suspected had entered Outward, my Emperor. We brought him here so you could decide what would happen to him once he entered your domain, the Tarkatan group's leader responded. At the time, Onaga said nothing as he rose from his throne, a massive creature if ever there was one, and walked with thunderous steps toward the creature. Staring down at it, Onaga noticed the flesh was slowly healing and sensed the source of it was the demonic power within this thing. Onaga levitated the creature to eye level with him using his own power, and it was clear that this thing was barely conscious. What is your name? What is your name? Speak. With the creature struggling to breathe, let alone speak, Onaga demanded. I'm not sure, the frail creature replied. That is insufficient. What brought you to Outworld? What realm do you come from? Demanded Onaga, tightening his grip on the item. I'm not sure. All I remember is the agony of torture, the agony of others, and then escape from betrayal. Having escaped a death I did not deserve, the creature in the Dragon King's grasp exclaimed. Onaga narrowed his eyes at the creature, sensing no deception from it, but smelling something that didn't sit well with him. Onaga's eyes widened as he recognized it, and he slammed the thing to the ground. You smell like the Elder Gods, exclaimed Onaga angrily before raising his leg to crush the creature in front of him. I have no recollection of that. I can't even recall my own name. The creature gasped as Onaga paused in his movement to crush it beneath his reptilian feet. Really? That's very intriguing. Perhaps I was hasty in deciding to end your life so quickly. While pondering what to do with this thing, Onaga walked in a circle around it. I'd like to live. Allow me to live. The figure got to its knees after hearing Onaga's thunderous footsteps and the Dragon King circling him. I'm going to let you live. But there is a cost to your continued existence in my realm, and, with the creature nodding, Onaga replied. I'll pay it. Whatever you ask of me, I will pay it. To the Dragon King's surprise, the figure replied with his eyes shifting between blue and red. You will swear allegiance to me. You will work for me and my army in Outworld. You're going to fight. You are a murderer. You will triumph. Onaga declared as his various shadow priests entered the throne room. I'll do my best. I will fight for the glory of Outworld with all the power, strength, and skills you have bestowed upon me. While attempting to stand, exclaimed the figure. Good. Now is the time to ensure that you can keep your promise. Your body is weak as it is right now. You're too frail to be useful to me in your current state. That must be changed, remarked Onaga before summoning his power, as the shadow priests did the same. After some of the wounds on the boy's body had healed, Onaga recognized the little creature, which was now covered in dark magic and levitating in midair before them. All of the shadow priests in the room, as well as Onaga, began chanting in an ancient mystical tongue. The human child covered in their dark magic began to jerk left and right, fighting the pain he was experiencing and the changes his body was undergoing at the time. The strange child could feel his muscles expanding, tearing, ripping, and the body shredding itself inside, and it soon became too much for him to handle. All he could do was scream in agony. When the ritual performed on him faded, the scream of a child became the scream of a man, and the figure behind the magic fell to the ground. The boy had grown into a man, and his body was naked, with no body hair or fat on him. Eyes that had previously transitioned from blue to red were now permanently red and glowed with power. The figure struggled to stand at first before settling down and inspecting his new form. While the figure was significantly taller than before, the overall height and mass of the Dragon King were much larger. Not only that, but the reborn warrior's mind was sharper, more focused, and he began to recall events from his past. Images of people he knew, his interactions with them, and scenes from his childhood became clearer with each passing second, and the majority of them were, to put it mildly, unpleasant. He remembered her as well. The one girl who piqued his interest because of her inner strength and passion. A gem in the rough. From what he remembered of her, she was initially shy. Especially when she was around him, but then an image of a battle, a fight between someone of her blood, and how this girl kept fighting, appeared in his mind. The girl demonstrated a warrior spirit by continuing to fight even though she knew she couldn't win. Despite the fact that her opponent was stronger, had hit harder, and intended to kill her. This girl stood her ground, ready to die at the hands of her own blood, and the memory showed she had smiled at him at one point. Then the memories of those around him began to appear. They weren't as friendly as the girl had been. The agony of those memories resurfaced. It involved some kind of training, but from what the man could tell, it involved his team of kids his age using him as a punching bag, as well as those from other teams and their teachers. The laughter, mockery, and humiliation of being beaten with so little training while the teachers mocked him for it when they purposefully denied him training to become stronger. I will exact my vengeance on them. Every single one of them. All the way down to the last backstabbing traitor who lives there. I will return to that realm, wherever it may be, and crush them. Raged the figure. Clothe him, Onaga said, as the shadow priest stepped forward to clothe and armor the tall figure. Thank you very much, Emperor. I'm going to make the most of this new life you've given me. After he was properly dressed, a shadow priest presented him with an ancient-looking spiked, samurai helmet guise carved out of bone, and another with a large hammer with a dragon symbol at the end. I'm confident you will. Your old life has ended. Your mission is to serve me, and you'll need a name to match. I, Onaga, Dragon King and Emperor of Outworld, hereby bestow upon you the name Shao Kahn. Declared Onaga, with the newly christened Shao Kahn bowing humbly before his master before donning the helmet. Shao Kahn, yes. My name is Shao Kahn, and I am the Conqueror. The King of the Realms. Shao Kahn exclaimed proudly and made it his life's mission to take each realm one by one until he found the one he was looking for that was once his home. Before burning everything in it down the ground around him. After all, he had a revenge-driven promise to keep. For many years, centuries, if not millennia, I served Onaga as a faithful warrior, quickly rising through the ranks of his army. I began as one of his many soldiers, then advanced to commander, general, and finally, chief advisor. I gave everything I had under his command my all, but it wasn't enough. I wanted to find the realm from which I was truly born, a realm from which I was despised by those who lived therein, no doubt, by those fools who were celebrating what they had done. They undoubtedly believe what they witnessed was my demise, and my promise is no longer at the forefront of their thoughts or fears. Even their descendants were probably unaware of my existence, my name stained by those who wrote it and mocking me for centuries to come. As one realm after another fell into my hands, I grew stronger in the process, and eventually I realized that no matter how hard I tried, I might never find what I wanted. Especially when I saw how Onaga was dragging his feet in search of a way to achieve eternal life. Bah. Who needs eternal life? It's a savior's crutch. I've been in so many life or death situations that I have no reason to seek out eternal life. When my rage had reached its peak, the idea of deposing Onaga as Emperor of Outworld began to form in my mind, and a plan to kill him quickly emerged. First, I had to weaken him to the point where I could kill him and assert my authority over the realm from those who would later try to take it away from me. When it came to measuring my power against Onaga, I wasn't a fool. The Dragon King was significantly stronger than I. Fighting Onaga head-on would be foolish and suicidal, and I am neither in terms of my chances. So I devised a strategy. I had to weaken him, poison him with his favorite drink, use an agent who was only loyal to me, and handle the goblet from which Onaga drank. The poison itself had no taste, even to the Dragon King's tongue, and by the time he realized something was wrong with his weakened state, I had struck him multiple times in the head. Violently. The irony was that I used the Wrath Hammer, the same one he gave me when I first joined his service. When it was done, I was seated on a throne, the new Emperor of Outworld, and I crushed all who opposed my rule. I gathered the most powerful Outworld warriors to serve under me and appointed their leaders as my most trusted generals. Prince Guro of the Shokan race had been promoted to general and provided me with the loyalty of their entire race. I had them compete with the Centaurians for the right to it in order to keep both sides' skills sharp. The Tarkatans came next, and some of their brood showed promise, with Baraka eventually becoming the general representing his race. Reptile was another trusted warrior, but unlike the others who represented entire races, this creature did not, because he was thought to be the last and had no real purpose. I gave him one, feeling a sense of something from a long-ago life, and brought the creature under my command. I'd sent Reptile on several scouting missions to find my realm, and on several occasions, I thought he'd succeeded. Only to discover that each realm he discovered was not the one I was once from, and that what I was looking for since I became Shao Kahn was still eluding me. I became increasingly frustrated by my inability to locate the realm I was looking for after such a long search. I became increasingly impatient and, more importantly, aggressive. It did, however, slow down after I conquered the realm known as Edenia. It was a lovely world full of life, and the resources of this realm made me want it all. Despite my right to take the realm after winning 10 consecutive Mortal Kombat tournaments, the King and Queen of Edenia were naturally opposed. They fought me for the right to Edenia, which I eventually won and took the spoils of war. First and foremost, the realm was made mine. The second was Queen Sindel, whom I married and elevated to the throne while adopting Katana as my daughter. Sindel was a beautiful and powerful woman, which was one of the reasons I made her queen. Another reason was that I imagined another girl from the past growing up to be just like the Edenian queen, and Katana would have been the daughter we would have had together. But the years since my ascension to Emperor of Outworld had made me paranoid. The memories of those who had betrayed me would occasionally rise to the surface of my mind, and Sindel's suicide years later had reinforced it. All he had left was Katana, whom I had raised as my own daughter while also training to be my personal bodyguard. Despite this, and knowing Katana was too young to remember her real father, I had a feeling it was only a matter of time. As a result, I commissioned my personal sorcerer Shang Tsung to make plans to create a daughter for me out of sorcery and Katana's blood mixed with Tarkatan. He and the shadow priests assigned to the project were successful, and Mylenia was born soon after. Aside from Melina's facial appearance along her mouth, she was an exact physical copy of Katana, with only the color of their clothing distinguishing the two women at a distance. Now I had twin daughters I could call my own, but by the time this happened, Katana had begun to drift away from me, and the betrayal that was sure to follow made my blood boil once more. It reminded me of how that place had betrayed me, how the people there had betrayed me, and how time was turning against me when the girl I had raised as my own would stab me in the back. As a result, I had Melina secretly assigned to watch Katana in case the unthinkable happened and I needed to dispose of her. And the unavoidable occurred. By that point, I had shifted my focus to Earthrealm on the advice of a sorcerer named Quan Kai, who had come to form a secret alliance with me at the request of the fallen elder god Shinnok. I agreed, believing it would give me the advantage I needed to take Earth Realm and summon the fallen Elder God to fight the Thunder God Raiden himself when I crossed over to my newest conquest. I had made a mistake. I had fought the Earth Realm warriors and lost due to my own arrogance. Kitana had betrayed me as I had predicted, but Mileena had been powerless to stop her, and I had lost one daughter at the hands of the other. By that time, I'd had to retreat, my losses had grown, and my strength had dwindled. When I returned to Outworld, I realized that my weakened condition, defeat at the hands of Earthrealm's warriors, and overall failure to conquer Earthrealm were all the result of me becoming stagnant. I had only fought a few battles since taking the throne, and some of my muscles had become a little flabby, my enemies had grown too strong, and my forces had become too incompetent and ambitious to fight them properly. Shiva had murdered Motaro, and Kano had joined forces with Shiva to betray her to me in exchange for his life being spared. Guro was no longer alive, Kentaro had died, and I had just killed Shiva after she had entered my throne room to kill me. Shinnok, along with Quan Kai, were now fighting their own battle with Raiden and the Earthrealm warriors who had survived my battle. Sindel and Kitana now had Edenia back after wresting it from my grasp and further weakening me. It was only a matter of time before my enemies overpowered the few loyal troops I had left and came after me. I had Shang Tsung on my side, but I had punished him for his failure to take Earthrealm, and his loyalty to me was always in doubt. The sorcerer was always a daring little snake. Part of my mind whispered that he reminded me of another pair of snakes from a long time ago. So I devised a strategy. A strategy for turning the tables and becoming more powerful than ever. I needed to rejoin the fight. To transform the flab I'd gained while sitting on the throne and barely fighting back into solid muscle. So, knowing I couldn't stay, I used almost all of my power to create a solid clone and flee from my position. Soon after, I heard rumors of my clone dying at the hands of both Shang Tsung and Quan Kai under the guise of an alliance. According to what I heard, they came to my clone to offer their powers to help my troops combat Edenia's army, which was now allied with the Shogun to kill me. As I moved through the Outworld terrain, I came across a badly injured Guro who was dying at my feet and would have died if I hadn't saved him with the last of the power I still had. Guro may have sided with Edenia, but I still respected him for his years of devoted service and offered it to him when he regained consciousness. That, along with proving his race was superior to the Centaurians, provided the necessary incentive to side with me. So we fled, convincing the Edenian warriors that Guro had been killed, and we fled together to plot my return to power. Though I soon discovered that Onaga had returned from beyond the grave, more powerful than ever, and had killed the two sorcerers, it would become a challenge once more. I should know they died because Shang Tsung appeared before me in a crude body due to a promise he made to my person years ago that he would not die as long as I was alive. Guro rallied what troops he could to fight for me, and Shang Tsung went to a village he knew of in order to absorb the souls there in order to regain his lost strength while restoring his mutated body to what it had been before his death. And the three of us had been successful in that regard. We fought our enemies all over Outworld, and we grew stronger, the fire I had when I first became Shao Kahn returning. The desire to fight my own personal battles that I had lost was returning, reminding me of my warrior skills. What I was truly like in life. A realm conqueror. Raiden's forces had failed to defeat the Dragon King by this point, but they had been able to divert his attention and weaken his position to the point where I could take the throne from him. We fought again, but this time I had poison and surprise on my side, unlike the first time. I had Guro assist me in my fight to re-kill the former emperor, his soul going to the Netherrealm. After dealing with Onaga, I went to deal with the Edenian forces fighting Onaga's and now my troops. When I smashed into the throne room, I saw Kitana being guarded by her sages, who were ready to defend their princess with their lives and fight to the death for her. They should have known better than to trust Kitana because the woman they were now guarding was not Kitana at all, but Melina. Melina is my name. My little girl. Should I die, my heir to the throne of Outworld? But I wasn't gone. In any case, not yet. She'd been impersonating Katana for a while, using her twin's forces to fight for Outworld's throne and become its new ruler. It made me proud to have such an ambitious daughter, but that wasn't going to stop me from knocking the woman aside and taking what was mine. Not that I needed to, because Melina personally killed the sages who were protecting her and stepped aside to allow me to reclaim the throne of Outworld so she could serve me. At the same time, I was pleased and disgusted. Not by Melina, but by the realization that my sitting on the throne of Outworld was the source of my weakness in the first place. Had essentially weakened Onaga by believing he couldn't be challenged and focusing on achieving eternal life while ignoring the joy of fighting to expand his realm. It was in that moment that I made another promise to never let the throne weaken me and lead to my demise. That I would fight like all of my troops on the battlefield, and no one would be able to stop me from growing stronger until not even the Elder Gods could stand in my way. When it comes to Elder Gods, Shinnok had saved Quan Kai and had returned to tell me about a pyramid hidden in Outworld built by one of the Elder Gods named Argus. As a result, it was named the Pyramid of Argus, as it was said to house the power, rank, and abilities of an Elder God. Only a warrior of great strength and skill could earn the right to be an Elder God. To become one of the toothless worms I had grown to despise with their Mortal Kombat rules and regulations on how realms should be taken. Still, becoming an Elder God seemed promising because it would allow me to not only become more powerful, possibly the strongest of the Elder Gods, but also to find my home realm and crush it, as I had promised myself long ago. While those who betrayed me were long dead, it seemed only fair that their descendants pay the price, so I killed every one of them while the souls of the betrayers from whom they were born cursed me in death. So, after much deliberation, I reaffirmed the alliance formed between myself and Shinnok. However, I made a mental note to kill Shinnok once I became an Elder God, as well as all of his followers who were joining him in death's cruel embrace. But there was a small catch, as I would not be the only one allying with Shinnok, as I would be forced to ally with Onaga, who the fallen Elder God had brought back, but he was weaker now than when he first returned to claim his throne, and he no longer held such a power gap over me. What was even more surprising was Raiden's corruption since his initial attempt to kill the Dragon King, and he offered a deal to all of us in the alliance. He would grant the winner access to all realms, including the Realm of Chaos, the Realm of Order, Edenia, the Netherrealm, and any others we desired, with the exception of Earthrealm. Naturally, we accepted the deal because we knew Raiden and the other Elder Gods would have to honor it no matter what. Raiden had become an Elder God after defeating Shinnok, and despite his corruption, he still spoke for them. As a result, none of the Elder Gods could break it, and the realm gained after gaining power at the Pyramid of Argus would not violate Mortal Kombat. What was the end result? After the battle at the Pyramid of Argus, Mortal Kombat would no longer have control over me. I'll remember that day for the rest of my life. The fact that I would be fighting in the heat of battle once more only fueled my desire for blood. Raiden's Earthrealm warriors had no idea about the deal he made with us, but he led them onto the battlefield in a united front against our side. On my side. We were all aware of what was at stake. Both sides charged onto the battlefield, knowing that whoever won would hold the fate of the realms in their hands. To bring about world peace? Or to precipitate Armageddon? During the battle, the Pyramid of Argus appeared, rising from the ground and finally revealing itself to us all. It drew us to the top of the pyramid-shaped structure, where a swirling bonfire-like flame stood, calling out to me, and only me, while saying, "This is your opportunity. Accept it." Inside my head, I had to fight my way there. To the very top. With my Wrath Hammer, I dispatch one combatant after another. Nobody could stand in my way. I wasn't the fastest to race up the pyramid, but I was the strongest, and I could easily dispatch the more agile warriors. It wasn't until Shang Tsung broke the alliance that I got any further than the others, but I forgot about Onaga and his hidden thirst for vengeance. After receiving a kick from the sorcerer and being carried away by my predecessor to be tormented by him, the Dragon King appeared in front of me. However, it appeared that luck was once again on my side, as Onaga was attacked from behind, and it must have been something powerful because it seemed to injure him. I saw an opportunity to land a powerful blow on him. It was enough to knock him off course and send him crashing into a nearby mountain before plummeting to the ground below. Fortunately, Onaga took the brunt of the collision into the mountain, and my injuries were minor when we fell. I didn't mind being hurt because it made me feel alive, and the Pyramid of Argus was still calling to me while I heard the roar of the Guardian Blade defending the power I craved. But first, I needed to deal with Onaga and make sure he didn't get in my way again. With all of his injuries from the surprise attack on mine and those leading to his fall, the Dragon King was dizzy when he tried to stand. He never saw the fist to the head or the other merciless blows I landed on him. I knew at that point that the only sure way to kill the Dragon King was with my bare hands. No other substitute for his death would suffice or reassure me that he was truly dead. After smashing his face in, I snapped his neck and ripped it off before crushing it in my hands to prevent regeneration if the head was left for the scavengers to feast on. With my personal mission completed, I dashed back to the Pyramid of Argus, knowing that time was of the essence and that any of the warriors from either side could seize the Elder God's power for themselves. Fortunately, by the time I arrived, this was no longer the case, as my enemies and allies had all killed each other in order to reach the top. Aside from Blaze, there is only one other opponent. Raiden by himself. I would eventually defeat Blade in a well-earned fight before Raiden could even hope to stop me, and the end result would boost my power to new heights. Raiden, despite being an Elder God, was no match for me, as he had been fighting the others earlier, and was unable to use his full power as the God of Thunder due to being in the realm of Outworld. Where have the Elder Gods vanished, Raiden? Shao Kahn inquired as he stood over Raiden's body, laughing at the pitiful sight before him, the defeated Thunder and Elder God of Earth Realm. Their pathetic mortal combat shackles me no longer, declared the Emperor after grabbing Raiden by the front of his armor and punching him in the face several times before throwing him across the top of the pyramid. They masquerade as dragons, but are nothing more than toothless worms, Shao Kahn mocked as he walked over to Raiden's downed form, his wrath hammer in hand, and saw the Thunder God turn over before stomping a massive foot down on him. My venom is spreading. Everything has come to an end. Armageddon. Shao Kahn exclaimed as his body was suddenly covered in golden fire and bathing in its power. Stoop. Raiden yelled, but all he got was a satisfied sigh from the person standing over him. It's done, Shao Kahn said, picking Raiden up so the two could look each other in the eyes. Your time has passed, the Emperor said before returning Raiden to where he had first fallen, near his broken amulet. I need to take action. Anything. But what exactly? The Elder Gods aren't stepping in. There's nothing else I can do to stop Shao Kahn except maybe. Raiden thought as he noticed the broken amulet on the ground and reached for the majority of them. Years wasted in futile resistance. Now is the beginning of my reign. Shao Kahn declared as he approached Raiden, who picked up the amulet pieces and began chanting in an unknown language. Shao Kahn burst out laughing. Yes. Raiden, pray to the worms. As your world collapses. Shao Kahn declares just as Raiden finishes his chanting and raises his wrath hammer to deliver the killing blow with a war cry. He must win. Raiden exclaimed as the wrath hammer fell on his head. Time, along with the fate of all the realms, was forever altered in that moment, as was Shao Kahn's. He has to win. I was jerked back by an unknown force and looked around with sharp eyes at my surroundings. Was it all a dream? Is this some kind of future vision? I see myself in my Outworld throne room, my mind focused on what had just happened and what was happening now. Was this some spell cast on me by a scheming sorcerer? Were the Elder Gods playing mind games with us? Did I just see myself defeating Raiden on top of some strange pyramid in my own realm? That I brought about Armageddon? I find myself slightly shaking my head, blocking out the images in my head and focusing on the task at hand. Earth Realm has been conquered. Shang Tsung had assured me that the 10th and final victory required to win this Mortal Kombat tournament and take over Earthrealm would be mine soon. All of the warriors competing to defend that realm were weak, their morale shattered by previous defeats, and Guro was the reigning champion. At least, according to the tournament's prized sorcerer. It wasn't until the old man I once taught the dark arts fell to his knees in front of me that I felt a sense of dread. A sense of foreboding that was overshadowed by my rage, which was ready to erupt before I even realized it was there, but that thought was dismissed after what I heard next. Shang Tsung had lost the final tournament. You failed me. 500 years I have waited. Now I must wait another 500. Roared Shao Kahn, but in the back of his mind, he senses a form of déjà vu. He seemed to have been in this same spot, having the same conversation, at some point in the past. I shrug it off, narrowing my red smoldering eyes at the terrified sorcerer in front of me as he pleads his case for his failure, and quickly silence him before ordering Baraka to kill the fool. Despite his pitiful excuses, Shang Tsung knew what to say and how to say it in order to postpone his execution. As a result, he persuaded me to spare his wretched life in order to use him in another plan to conquer Earthrealm by holding another Mortal Kombat tournament. While I had grown tired of them after 500 years of waiting for one victory after another, Shang Tsung had convinced me that one more couldn't hurt, and that I should keep it here in Outworld. That would give us a significant advantage over Earthrealm's participating warriors, as well as Raiden himself. All that was required was for Raiden to agree to the tournament's terms. If he did, the Elder Gods would be forced to grant me the right to Earthrealm if my side won. However, I was also aware of what would happen if my team lost. A sense of foreboding returned to me, and I needed to ensure that we won this time. So I directed Shang Tsung to persuade Raiden not only to have his warriors compete in this new tournament, but also to have my sorcerer participate. Naturally, I couldn't have him compete as the frail old man who had been defeated by Earthrealm's newest champion and risk another defeat. So I restored Shang Tsung's youth. My good graces strengthened his power, and I made him realize that failure was not an option for him in this assignment. Only now has the sense of foreboding not dissipated as I had hoped. It persisted, gnawing at me like a hungry rat nibbling the flesh off a corpse in one of my lairs. All I could do was ignore it, believing that my forces would eventually triumph and Raiden's followers would be crushed before I moved to take Earthrealm as I had hoped. Only later, when my Mortal Kombat tournament was held, did I find myself filled with rage at my Foss's continued incompetence and inability to defeat Earthrealm's warriors. Nobody seemed to be able to stand up to them, as Scorpion to Shang Tsung, Quan Kai, and my new Shokan warrior Kentaro had all failed to demonstrate their worth in ensuring my victory. And in my rage, I snapped the neck of Earthrealm's current victor, Kung Lao. And, in effect, killing him. Time seemed to slow down at that point, and Raiden was about to attack me for killing the proud boy without issuing the Mortal Kombat challenge. I was prepared to fight the Thunder God, but due to my lack of foresight, I failed to prepare for the attack from Kung Lao's fellow Shaolin warrior Louis Kong, the previous tournament winner and the one responsible for Shang Tsung's failure. In his rage, the boy summoned fire and formed it around his fist before driving the appendage straight through my chest. I found myself reliving a memory of a different time, a different place, and a different foe doing the exact same thing to me. More than once. The only difference between then and now was that I was being struck by a fire-filled fist. It's not lightning. As I lay dying from the injury, I saw my forces rush after Raiden's warriors, all of whom had quickly returned to their precious realm, victory now assured, and my ability to take Earth realm forever lost. Part of me, long forgotten, screamed in rage at the injustice of it all, as my desires and ambition for vengeance were being snuffed out. But not everything was lost. Quan Kai had not pursued Raiden and his warriors as my forces had after my defeat. He used his supernatural abilities to heal me and save my life before it was too late. When I appeared before my generals, I overheard them discussing who would be the ruler of Outworld. Melina was immediately nominated, as I had already declared her my true heir and daughter after Katana had brought Shang Tsung to me about the project earlier. The look of hurt in her eyes when I told the woman the truth caused an ache in my heart at the time, but I crushed it knowing Katana would have betrayed me sooner or later. Now his ex-daughter was in Earth Realm with Raiden's warriors, no doubt celebrating their victory over me and my alleged demise. Not to mention my newly discovered knowledge that Earth Realm is safe from any Outworld invasion. But I am not so easily defeated. Quan Kai soon suggested that I simply invade Earth Realm and take what was rightfully mine from the start. The sorcerer's words enraged me because he knew full well that I couldn't personally cross over into Earth Realm as I desired from the start. When my queen Sindel committed suicide, she erected a powerful magical ward to deny me that right, preventing my body from entering the realm. Until now, the only way I could cancel out such powerful magic was to win 10 consecutive Mortal Kombat tournaments and absorb Earth Realm into Outworld. However, Quan Kai, like Shang Tsung, can be very persuasive in his arguments when it comes to the rules established by the Elder Gods. Not surprising given that one of them worked for a former Elder God and knew all the rules by heart. The sorcerer in question had discovered a way to circumvent such a power, as he could use his sorcery to bring Sindel back to life, cancelling out the magic ward created by her death. Not only that, but he could bring Sindel under my control and influence, ensuring that I had a queen worthy of me by my side. No more treachery. I would no longer be denied a woman of strength, beauty, and skill worthy of an emperor like myself. For a brief moment, I imagine a girl the size of Sindel, with long dark hair, lavender eyes, and deadly skills in hand-to-hand combat, before dismissing the image. That person had been dead for over 1,000 years. No doubt she had moved on and had her own line of children, who had their own, and so on. If she had any descendants, I would spare them my wrath, or at the very least allow them to serve me when I discovered my birth realm. I am tired of sorcerers, Quan Kai. Prove your worth and bring her to me, commanded a still enraged Shao Kahn as he saw the sorcerer humbly bow and depart with his shadowy bodyguard for the location of Sindel's body. It didn't take long for Quan Kai to bring my queen before me, and the woman gazed into my eyes with adoration, just as the sorcerer had promised. She gave me a loving look. She kissed me quickly, and I kissed her back passionately. Sindel was once again mine. And so did my opportunity to take Earth Realm. I ordered my troops to prepare for battle. Whether the Elder Gods approved or not, I was going to do what I should have done from the start and take Earth Realm by force. A sense of foreboding gripped my mind once more, but I ignored it completely as my desire to take my queen in our bed and conquer Earth Realm burned within my body. I was sick of being restrained. I'm sick of playing it safe. I'm afraid of what the Elder Gods will do if I break the Mortal Kombat rules. Rules were designed to be broken. My soon-to-be victory, however, would come at a cost. Raiden and the Thunder God's forces were repelling my army, despite its viciousness and size. Kano, the leader of the Black Dragon clan, provided my forces with modernized weapons to aid in the fight against Earthrealm's own soldiers. However, the weapons provided were in short supply, and my soldiers were not fully trained in how to use the weapons provided by the mercenary. As I ordered Quan Kai to take prisoners in order to prepare a soulnado to draw strength from the souls upon entering the realm, I needed to make sure my authority over Earthrealm was absolute in the eyes of my future subjects. Unfortunately, while Quan Kai was successful, he was unable to keep it open and was eventually defeated by one of Raiden's warriors. Before that, Raiden slain my newest general Motaro, who had taken over for the Shogun, during one of his hunts for any potential threats, and my patience was wearing thin. Raiden's forces were holding their own, my losses were mounting, and it was only a matter of time before I was forced to retreat ahead of my own arrival. My queen then offered to hunt down and eliminate these pests once and for all so that I would not be opposed when I entered the realm. I agreed, but I wasn't about to send Sindel to Earth Realm only to have her killed by the opposition's combined might. If this fierce warrior woman was to fight her own daughter, the Edenian queen needed to be stronger, more powerful, and deadlier than ever before. And I needed Shang Tsung's assistance to make that happen. Or, more precisely, I required the ever-expanding collection of souls residing within his body. At the expense of his life. He would be sorely missed. With my beloved queen on the hunt for Earthrealm warriors, I was preparing for the event of entering Earthrealm itself and seizing what was mine. I would no longer be afraid of the Elder Gods or the consequences of breaking their rules regarding the merging of the realms without the use of mortal combat. Shao Kahn, Conqueror of Realms, I was. It was past time for me to remind those around me of this vital fact. However, nothing could have surprised me more than seeing Raiden bow in submission as I exited the portal to Earthrealm. Louis Kong, one of his prized warriors, was on the ground nearby, covered in burns that appeared to be caused by a lightning strike. Two of his warriors disobeyed the Thunder God and charged me, but I repelled them with a fraction of my strength. It's a shame, really. For an Earthrealm warrior, the blonde-haired woman had a nice figure. The idea of turning her into a concubine or slave girl briefly entered my mind, but it quickly vanished when I saw Raiden standing before me. Only to beg forgiveness. "Ah, Raiden, you've come to your senses," Shao Kahn said, his voice surprised. "Earthrealm's citizens suffer. Further resistance serves no purpose," Raiden said modestly as the Emperor laughed. "All these ages you have fought me. You have denied my rightful claim." "Not this time," Shao Kahn said before standing in front of Raiden and delivering a mighty uppercut that sent the Thunder God flying back. It was at this point that reality began to deviate from events from another era. "The Elder Gods fear me now," Shao Kahn declared before laughing and lifting Raiden up by his clothes. "Their pathetic mortal combat shackles me no longer," declared the Emperor after picking up Raiden and punching him in the face several times before throwing him across the rooftop. His badly cracked amulet fell off and shattered into numerous pieces. "They masquerade as dragons, but are nothing more than toothless worms," Shao Kahn mocked as he walked towards Raiden, wrath hammer in hand, standing over the Thunder God before putting his massive foot down. "You can feel it closing in around you. It's the end of all things," Shao Kahn boasted as he watched this realm be taken over piece by piece. "Elder Gods, where are you? Why do you abandon me?" Raiden asked, gazing up at the heavens, hoping for a miracle from the Elder Gods. "Your time has passed," Shao Kahn said as he picked Raiden up again and threw him across the roof. "I don't get it. I've done everything that needs to be done, but what am I missing?" Raiden thought as he struggled to stand. Ages wasted in futile resistance. "I have won," Shao Kahn declared as he approached Raiden's kneeling form. "Yes. You have won," Raiden admitted, finally admitting defeat and bracing himself for another killing strike like his future self. "Now, Raiden, your world ends," Shao Kahn declared with a grin, raising his wrath hammer to deliver the killing blow while letting out a war cry. Only for golden lightning to fall from the sky, drawing the attention of the Emperor of Outworld, and the elder gods to gather around Raiden. They entered his body and healed his wounds before speaking to the warlord through the Thunder God's body. You violate our will, Shao Kahn. You merge realms without victory in mortal combat. Our penalty is clear, the elder gods declared through Raiden before unleashing golden lightning on the Emperor. Only to find it doing nothing but making Shao Kahn laugh. Anemic effort from ineffectual deities. Today, I become the elder god. Exclaimed Shao Kahn, who had been unharmed by the attack and saw that his opponent would now fight him for the right to this realm. He wasn't going to have it any other way. The fight was brutal. One that I hadn't had in years. Actually, in ages. My time on the throne had done little to advance my position of growing power. I last faced such a formidable foe when I ambushed my weakened predecessor, Onaga, the Dragon King. But this was unique. Onaga was poisoned, caught off guard, and did not anticipate the hit. I was currently fighting a Thunder God who had been imbued with the strength of the Elder Gods themselves, and they were not backing down. The gnawing sensation in the back of my mind returned in full force. I realized there was a chance I'd lose here, but my pride wouldn't let me stop, leave, or be denied the right to this realm. I desired it. I required it. I fought Raiden furiously, but he kept dodging, moving with his element, and pushing me back until it became too much. I would have won this fight at any other time or place, and the realms would have been mine. But, due to my already weakened state, I was unable to defeat Raiden and the Elder Gods as I had hoped. They finally made their move when the time was right, leaving Raiden's body and quickly surrounding mine before carrying me away into the sky to face their divine punishment. I had been defeated. I'd failed. I, Shao Kahn, Conqueror of Realms and Emperor of Outworld Realm, had been defeated. That is why I am currently on my knees, bound in ethereal golden chains, all attached to the floor, and surrounded on all sides within the hall of the Elder God's center. Each of them has an angry expression on their face and is staring at my bound body. My eyes are closed, I'm too tired to open them, and I can feel my head is no longer protected by my helmet. I am aware of them. The Elder Gods see everything I am, and it's clear they don't like it. It's not surprising. To them, I was a demonic entity forged by Onaga's and the Shadow Priest's magical powers. I was a vile thing who deserved to be thrown into the Netherrealm's deepest darkest regions and ripped to shreds by the demons there. This is an insult. This creature has violated our decree. For far too long, Shao Kahn has used every possible means to circumvent our laws. It is clear that he must be punished to ensure that no one else makes similar attempts, declared one Elder God loudly in the room. Many of them nodded in agreement, but few said anything while staring at me with piercing eyes. I could tell they were staring at me because I could feel it. As they did so, I reflected on my past, what had brought me to this point, why I had done what I had done, and why I had first become what I had become. My vow, my promise, and the underlying principle of my belief in keeping my promises. I have to get away. I must exact my vengeance. Thought Shao Kahn as he clenched his fists and heard the Elder Gods argue about how he should be punished. It has been decided. The only appropriate punishment for Shao Kahn's crimes against us and the realms is death. Exclaimed another Elder God at long last. Some things never change, Shao Kahn murmured before chuckling. What? If you have something to say, Shao Kahn, say it. Said another Elder God, who appeared to be a female voice. You act as if your eyes are all-seeing, as if you were all-knowing, but you are nothing of the sort. If you were, you would know of our long-lost history, and that it is because of you that I have survived this long," Shao Kahn observed as the elder gods narrowed their gaze on him. "What do you mean, Shao Kahn? Speak," demanded another elder god, who had a deep male voice and was clearly annoyed. "Look through my mind, elder gods. I know you can. Look at who I was before I joined Onaga's service. Why I've done everything I've done. And why I won't let you destroy me so easily," Shao Kahn replied, his eyes snapping open and determination shining through his crimson-red eyes. The elder gods looked at each other, clearly unsure if not curious about Shao Kahn's words, and decided to investigate whether or not what he said was true. So they dug deep into the man's memories, all the way back to his birth, and began their journey to understand him. They witnessed the man's birth, the reason they were summoned to assist Minato in sealing the Kyuubi into the child, and the events that followed the sealing itself. The elder gods grew increasingly enraged as they witnessed the abuse the innocent boy endured, how the boy struggled every day just to survive, and even then, there were several close calls. They witnessed the humiliation of a Shinobi Academy test. In a quest for power, one of the Academy instructors betrays the Academy. Another Academy instructor secretly despising the abused child for reasons he was unaware of. The boy learns the truth about why he was despised. He'd been put on a farce of a genin team with an even more pathetic instructor who also despised the boy. The team's training included the hated child receiving little to no assistance in the field while those around him received far more and used him as a training dummy before rubbing it in his face. They witnessed the battle on the Wave Country Bridge and the events that followed. From start to finish, the Chunin exams. The Leaf Village has been invaded. The Sandame's alleged death. Dealing with 2 Akatsuki members. Bringing Senju Tsunade back to Konoha and nearly dying in the process. Being saved by the woman he was looking to bring back, if only to be used as a weapon by her and those under her command in the future. They then arrived at the point in the memories where Uchiha Sasuke attempted to flee the village in exchange for the power Orochimaru was offering. How the blonde fought him in a Mortal Kombat-style fight. How the blonde blue-eyed boy, regarded as the weakest shinobi of his generation, had defeated the strongest through sheer determination alone. The blonde took lethal blow after lethal blow that would have killed anyone else and kept coming back for more because that was the mission. When did the mission end? When did the blonde return the Uchiha? The elder god's rage had reached its peak at that point. Those he trusted betrayed the blonde boy. Godparents are his godparents. The Sandame Hokage who did not die as everyone expected. They witnessed the boy learning the truth about how he would be used by the village until his purpose expired and he died. That the village's government official was afraid of his potential, power, and what he would do if the truth was revealed. And set him up for public execution at the hands of his own father. A man who broke the pact with the elder gods in the first place and conspired with others to seize control of a prophecy foretelling the revolution or destruction of the shinobi way. Everyone close to the Yondaime Hokage believed he was the child of prophecy, with the power to change the world with Konoha ruling it. The elder gods were enraged when this disturbing truth was revealed. How dare these mere mortals try to sway a prophecy for their own gain? This realm's mortals believed that Yondaime Hokage, the child of prophecy, was no more chosen than the Sannin who trained him. In fact, the child of prophecy, mentioned by Sannin, was the blonde-haired blue-eyed boy they were about to murder. When the boy they had learned was named Naruto was about to be executed by his father, the elder gods heard the boy's cry, reminding them of what they had done over 1,000 years before. Gods of the elders, hear me out. The noble intentions contract you made with the mortal to seal up the Kyuubi inside me has been broken. I now implore you to honor your part of the agreement by using your power to save this vessel from a death he does not deserve." The elder gods witnessed the boy's body being burned, ripped to shreds while being sucked into the portal intended to save him, and eventually landing in Outworld before being dragged in front of Onaga, the Dragon King himself. They saw the Dragon King about to kill the boy, but he stopped himself and decided to turn the boy into his loyal warrior. He called himself Shao Kahn, a warrior who made a promise and promised to keep it no matter what, even if he had to conquer every realm on the planet. The rest, as they say, is history. This is unprecedented, said one elder god solemnly, staring into Shao Kahn's eyes. Now you see the truth. Now you see why I do what I do. Why I have done everything I have done. I will not be cheated out of my vengeance. Not by Raiden. Not by Quan Kai, Shinnok, or even you the elder gods. I made a promise long ago to crush those in that realm, and I will keep it. One way or another, said Shao Kahn as he slowly rose to his feet. This has changed things, the female-sounding elder god said. In what way? He broke the rules. Shao Kahn must be punished. Nothing exempts him from it, even if his purpose is to fulfill a prophecy. Angrily exclaimed another elder god. If anyone is to blame for Shao Kahn's actions thus far, it should be placed ultimately on all of us. Because of our lack of action in not being more careful where we sent the boy when called to help him, he ended up as a servant of the Dragon King. Not only that, but the mortals of the chakra realm have become far too bold, believing they can do whatever they want without consequences. There is no denying that Shao Kahn must be punished. However, given that his rebirth under Onaga's rule was partially, if not entirely, our fault, I think it is only fair that Shao Kahn does something that will benefit us all, said a third elder god wisely. In what way? Shao Kahn inquired. As it stands, you Shao Kahn have broken our rules, killed countless warriors, and conquered countless worlds in pursuit of the one realm you were born from, the one realm you wish to return to in order to destroy those who betrayed your trust and those who follow them. While we do not condemn you for your actions, we also cannot approve of them, and thus we must find a balance where all parties benefit, said the elderly-sounding elder god. To that end, we believe that the best way to achieve justice for all sides is to ensure you fulfill your original purpose as the child of prophecy, and send you back to the chakra realm. Your former home is on the verge of setting off Armageddon, and they don't even know it because they are blind to their own greed. However, in order to ensure that you are properly punished for your past crimes, we hereby prohibit you from leaving the chakra realm unless we require your assistance, or if your realm needs to be defended by participating in a Mortal Kombat tournament, said the enraged elder god. Even if I agree to the terms, the betrayal happened millennia ago, and everyone I know from that time is all dead, Shao Kahn said, frustrated and angry. Actually, they are not dead. We have long known about the potential behind the chakra realm since the Sage of Six Paths taught the world how to use chakra. To prevent this realm's development from becoming too unstable or out of control, we used our power to significantly slow time down. A little over a millennium outside of the chakra realm is equal to 6 years within it, replied the female elder god to Shao Kahn's surprise. So they're all alive, Shao Kahn remarked casually, as his mind began to process what that meant. This meant his newfound allies outside of Konoha. The various places that would undoubtedly welcome him back with open arms once word got out. He could raise an army, gather resources, establish a new empire, and crush the Leaf, as well as the country that funds it, when the time came. Konoha wanted to start a full-fledged war to establish its superiority? Shao Kahn was more than willing to grant them a war, but not the one they desired or the one they would win. Oh no. Shao Kahn intended to bring upon them a war that would haunt the people of the Leaf until the end of their days, long after their wretched diseased souls had been sent to the Netherrealm's lowest parts to suffer for their crimes. That would also imply... Was she still alive? He had to know. He must be aware. Do you accept the terms we've set for you, Shao Kahn, or would you prefer we call you Uzumaki Naruto now? One of the elder gods, who hadn't yet spoken to him, asked. I am Shao Kahn. Uzumaki Naruto's soul may reside within, but the body that represented that weak boy no longer exists. As for your terms regarding my punishment, I accept, replied the former emperor of Outworld before the ethereal chain that bound him snapped. We will open a portal to a location in the realm near which you are familiar and friendly, said the female elder god. Good. I'll need some time to recover from the battle I had with all of you back in Earth Realm, and there's also the issue of my former father holding the other half of the Bijuu's chakra, which he shouldn't have within his body, Shao Kahn replied, with the elder gods nodding in agreement. Agreed, it must be removed, one elder god stated emphatically. Bring him here. I'll rip it out of him myself. It does belong to me after all, Shao Kahn said with a grin. Very well, another elder god said before summoning their power and opening a portal that soon spat out a stunned Namikaze Minato. Ouch. What happened? One moment I'm fighting Iwa Shinobi on the battlefield, and the next I'm here? Where the hell am I? Minato wondered as he found himself bound in golden chains that held the man in place. You were in the Hall of the Elder Gods, Namikaze Minato. Do you know why you have been summoned to face us? Said a female elder god as Minato struggled to break free but was struck by golden lightning from the chains. I don't know nor care. Do you not know who I am outside of my name? I was once the Yondaime Hokage of Konoha. The Yellow Flash. I will not be bullied by so-called gods and deities for their sick amusement. Minato protested while attempting to draw on the fox's demonic chakra, but found it wasn't responding to him, and soon heard chuckling to his right. It's not fun being chained and hurt by those more powerful than you, Namikaze Minato, Shao Kahn mocked as he walked over to the struggling man. And you would be who exactly? Questioned Minato, despite seeing this mountain of a man with an almost demonic face standing in front of him before being hawked to the point where his legs gave out. Come now, Namikaze Minato, formerly the Yondaime Hokage of Konoha, surely you recognize your own son? Shao Kahn said as he saw Minato's eyes widen in shock and fear. No. No, it's not possible. Naruto is dead. We burned his body and saw it fade away into that portal. He was fatally injured, and even the Uzumaki bloodline limit couldn't have saved him for long, Minato protested, while Shao Kahn grabbed the man by the face and stared him down. I know it's hard to believe, father. Who would believe me? Who would believe that I am your progeny? That I was once a skinny, malnourished, naive boy who dreamed of one day being Hokage, and getting the respect I deserved. Oh yes, it has been quite some time since I was that frail little thing you called a son. A son you didn't want. A son you felt was not needed in your life. So you've come for vengeance, just as you promised, Minato said, as Naruto laughed. You think I'm going to kill you here? That ending your life here will satisfy my desire to crush you and everyone like you? Exclaimed Shao Kahn, his face puzzled. So, you're not going to kill me here? Minato asked, smirking at Naruto. No. I want you to return to Konoha. Let them know that Uzumaki Naruto is alive, well, and getting stronger. I want them and you to come at me with everything you've got. Said Shao Kahn while flexing his right hand before forming a fist. You'd be foolish not to kill me here. When I get free from these chains, I'll show you why I was made Yondaime Hokage of Konoha, Minato said, tensing his body and preparing to use his powers to finally kill his son. Yes. About that. You know the Kyuubi's chakra? The one half you have inside of you? Shao Kahn asked, widening Minato's eyes. Yeah. What of it? Minato asked, his voice tinged with fear, before letting out a gasp, followed by a scream of pain, and looking down in shock. His son's massive hand was in his torso, near the seal. I'm taking it back. It never belonged to you in the first place, Shao Kahn said into the shinobi's ear before drawing the fox's chakra from the man and relishing hearing Minato scream in agony. When the process was finished, Shao Kahn stepped back from Minato, allowing the power of the fox's other half to wash over him, synchronizing with his power, which was once Kyuubi's first half before Onaga fused it with his body from the start. The two halves were now complete, healing Shao Kahn's recent injuries, restoring his lost strength, and displaying memories of the Yondaime Hokage's exploits during the man's 6, in Chakra Realm, years. Shao Kahn now knew everything Namikaze Minato had ever done or planned to do in the future. You stupid bastard for a child. Don't you know what you've done? What I had to go through to learn how to use that power properly. What that half of Kyuubi sealed inside of me did for the people of Konoha. What I was able to do exactly with its power under my direct command. Demanded Minato, who was attempting to get off the ground but failing due to the tall man in front of him draining a large portion, if not all, of his. You mean using the fox's chakra within you to reverse the aging process with the help of Senju Tsunade's medical ninjutsu skills, Shao Kahn replied, as Minato looked at him in surprise. How did you know? Minato asked, his head tapped by Shao Kahn. Of course, the memories from half of Kyuubi you sealed inside your body. Kyuubi was never the mindless beast you and everyone else saw him as Namikaze Minato. Not that it matters anymore because that power is now far out of your reach, Shao Kahn replied while enjoying the sight of Namikaze Minato glaring at him in rage before the man decided to address the elder gods. Don't you realize what he's done? I'm the child of prophecy, damn it. Even gods must respect someone foretold in prophecies and ensure they come true, Minato said, as the elder gods looked on in disbelief. What you say is true, former Yondaime Hokage, but you are not the child of prophecy that was prophesied to appear in your realm, but your son is, one of the elder gods responded to Minato's shock, horror, and fear before turning to face Shao Kahn, who was laughing hysterically at him. Do you hear that, my stupid father? I am the one the Toad Sage foretold about, not you. Not Naruto. Me. And I already know how I want to proceed in dealing with the current way of the shinobi in the chakra realm, Shao Kahn replied, his grin never leaving his face. No. No you wouldn't. Exclaimed Minato, realizing what Shao Kahn had planned and refusing to allow it. I can and will. Your time has passed, old man. You, along with every shinobi in Konoha and all of your allies, will perish at my hands, Shao Kahn replied before a portal opened several feet behind him and the chains that bound Minato fell off the man. He can't stay here any longer. Send him back to the chakra realm, one of the elder gods said, and Shao Kahn grinned even more. Give my best regards to my mother and Naruto. I intend to see those two, as well as Jiraiya, Hiruzen, Tsunade, Kakashi, and all the other power-hungry traitors of my former home, very soon, Shao Kahn added before hurling Minato, who was now screaming in protest after being launched into the portal. It is time, said the female elder god, her voice firm but kind. Shao Kahn simply nodded, knowing he had to keep his end of the bargain he made with the elder gods, and he intended to do so. It wasn't even a bad punishment for him actually. Sure, he'd be confined to one realm, but that didn't matter because the Elder Gods might need his assistance one day. Or perhaps the Chakra realm would have to fight another ambitious realm using mortal combat, and he could leave to take part in it. In any case, Shao Kahn had no intention of backing out of the deal and was determined to exact his revenge on Konoha. With that in mind, the former Emperor of Outworld entered the portal, knowing it would transport him to the realm he was born in, where he would have to fight with all his might to win. When the portal engulfed Shao Kahn, it closed behind him, and the Hall of the Elder Gods fell silent. I take it you sent Shao Kahn somewhere with solid ground to walk on? Elder God Argus asked as he appeared in physical form in front of the other Elder Gods. Yes. I sent him to the first place that ever acknowledged his existence in life as a person. As Uzumaki Naruto. Hopefully, the people there can bring out the noble side of him once more, the female Elder God replied as Argus nodded his head. And you also saw what I did regarding Wave Country in the Chakra realm. How they are losing the war with Fire Country's forces after years of the two fighting within the political arena. Even now, I see the army of Konoha shinobi have slowly but successfully oppressed the country's populace there, and they have finished renaming the bridge after the traitorous boy, Uchiha Sasuke. The one Naruto brought back, which resulted in his near execution, Argus. We must believe that Uzumaki Naruto's soul will balance out the cruel entity that Onaga turned him into all those ages ago. It is still there, as we have all seen within his mind, the female Elder God said. Agreed. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must return to Outworld and prepare for the arrival of my sons, Argus replied, as he, like the other Elder Gods, had seen more than just fragments of the future through his amulet, and needed to prepare for the war that was to come. Even though Armageddon had been averted, the sons of Elder God Argus were still up to their old tricks. Near Wave Country Chakra realm. Shao Kahn's portal closed behind him. He recognized the path in front of him, and his location was close to where his old team had walked to get to Wave Country. Shao Kahn followed his instincts and headed for the country that welcomed him as if he were family. However, a sudden realization made him stop, as he looked at himself, and realized that his appearance screamed hostile, and his face wasn't exactly the most friendliest one you can meet on a bright sunny day. He needed to conceal his appearance. For the time being. As luck would have it, bandits had set up camp nearby in the woods. Their boasting and loud voices drew him to them with curiosity along with the opportunity of possibly taking what these fools had for himself. A cloak perhaps to hide his visage. Perhaps they stole money from a caravan. While Shao Kahn had no need for monetary wealth for himself, he saw the need for it in keeping various realm infrastructures running, and knew it would be required here in this realm. See the bounty we got here? That caravan from Fire Country was loaded with loot. Exclaimed one bandit as he sipped his sake. Yeah. It was supposed to be used to fund the war it's having with Wave Country. They've been having political issues, but now the Fire Daimyo is tired of talks in getting Wave annexed into its territory, replied another bandit with a smirk. Not surprising. Wave Country is an island country, but it has a lot of resources ripe for the plucking. If Fire Country takes Wave, they'll increase their treasury in wealth, and riches that are 5 times what we have here, at least. Said the bandit leader, holding up a large pile of wealth. How are we going to transport all this loot? There are only so many of us, and the bags will weigh us down, one bandit wondered before being smacked across the back of the head. Baka. We have these sealing scrolls. Did you forget Mizuki as a former Leaf Shinobi? Said the bandit leader, patting Mizuki on the back. Mizuki? Here? Shao Kahn reflected on the fool, his time at the academy, and later, when the Chunin tricked him into taking the Forbidden Scroll. Why did you leave? I mean, Konoha is stronger than ever. The Yondaime Hokage returned, as did his wife, their daughter, and a whole slew of the village's powerhouses. One bandit sneered as Mizuki sneered. Because the Yondaime Hokage refused to promote me after I was released from prison. I was among the people who beat the demon brat up the most when it was younger, and I worked harder than anyone at the academy to ensure its growth was stunted. And how did the man reward me for my troubles after I was let out of jail? I get a pat on the back, a simple congratulations, and a small pay increase that doesn't even cover how much I suffered while in prison. Wow. Years of loyal service and they wouldn't even promote you? That's cold. Sympathized one bandit. They said I'd be promoted when the time was right, and the time was right when I got out of jail. Mizuki yelled angrily, shaking his fists. Aside from that, there had to be something else, judging by your angry expression, said another bandit as Mizuki sighed. I also hit on Iruka's slutty-looking girlfriend, Mitarashi Anko. She was Orochimaru the Sannin's first apprentice he ever took on, Mizuki replied spitefully. Really? Wow. I saw her picture in your bingo book, and she's hot. Exclaimed the bandit leader, with Mizuki smirking. Why do you think I hit on her? I tried to get between her legs, but all she wants is to be with Iruka. Bah. As if the man knows what to do with a slutty woman like that between the sheets. When she turned me down, I forced myself on her, but the bitch fought me off. Can you believe it? The damn slut refused me. She'll spread her legs for that twig for a man, Iruka. It's been a while, Mizuki. It seems the years haven't been kind to you, especially if you've been hanging around with pathetic bandits like this group, Shao Kahn remarked as he emerged from the shadows and stared at the man who had once tormented him as a child while growing up in the village. One of many tormentors he planned to eliminate. Who the hell are you? Demanded Mizuki as he and everyone else in the bandit camp stood up and took out their weapons. You don't recognize me? I don't have a familiar look to you? I know it's been many years, Mizuki, but even you should be able to look underneath the underneath, like all Konoha Shinobi Academy instructors tend to teach their students. Though if memory serves me well, you kicked me out of that class that day, and on the charge of tapping my pencil too fast on my desk, replied Shao Kahn with Mizuki's eyes narrowing in thought before they went wide with horror. No. You are. It can be you. It can't. They said you died. Exclaimed Mizuki with Shao Kahn now grinning evilly. That's it, Mizuki. Look into my eyes. See past the crimson glow. Look deep within me and you will see the truth, replied Shao Kahn and let out a chuckle. Who is this guy, Mizuki? The bandit leader demanded. It's the Kyuubi brat. It's Uzumaki Naruto. Mizuki practically exclaimed, as Shao Kahn's grin widened. You're partially correct, Mizuki. I was the Kyuubi brat. I was Uzumaki Naruto. Past tense. I go by the name Shao Kahn now, and as for Kyuubi, we've merged completely into one single entity, Shao Kahn replied as he walked toward the stunned bandits. So you're a demon now, huh? I always knew you were deep down. Now your change just proves me and everyone in Konoha right. You are a freak. A monster. Declared Mizuki in the hopes it would somehow break what he believed was the former Konoha shinobi's still fragile mind. Shao Kahn only gave him a cruel laugh. You know, in another lifetime, I would have denied that statement. In another lifetime, I would have shouted out denials, spouted on about being Hokage one day regardless of what you or anyone else thought. But after everything I've been through since leaving Konoha and what I've done since my escape from the Leaf Village, I honestly can't deny your words. I am a demon now. I am a monster. And this monster, this demon, we can take him. I know the brat. He was a baka growing up, and he is a baka now. We're fighting one monster, and we are many. We can win," exclaimed Mizuki, as the bandits regained their courage and charged Shao Kahn. Fools. This won't even be a challenge compared to fighting Raiden and the Elder Gods together, Shao Kahn thought as he summoned his Wrath Hammer in an instant and charged the bandits. The brutality of Shao Kahn's strength, power, and overall skills with the Wrath Hammer quickly overwhelmed the bandits. Whoever he didn't hit with the weapon was knocked back by a massive kick or punch to any bandit in his sights. The bandits were taken aback because they didn't expect someone of Shao Kahn's size to move so quickly or to dodge their attacks so easily. Everything Shao Kahn hit, he destroyed in a single blow, and sent many bandits flying back with a few of their limbs missing in the process. This is impossible. Uzumaki Naruto is a weak shrimp who wears orange, eats ramen, and knows nothing about his surroundings. Not this monster from the depths of hell. As he saw the bandits being slaughtered, Mizuki decided to cut his losses by fleeing, only to be pinned to a tree by the Should when he was struck by a green energy spear. Crying out in pain, Mizuki tried to free himself from the tree, but couldn't remove it, and saw Shao Kahn had just slammed his foot right through the bandit leader's chest with a sickening crunch, echoing throughout the area. Mizuki had decided at this point to take a closer look at the giant man to assess his overall appearance. Uzumaki Naruto, or Shao Kahn as he was now known, was dressed in a loincloth covered by some cloth in the front, with side almost reptilian-looking armor plating that went down to his hips. He wore spiked shoulder pads, knee pads and gauntlets, and a skull medallion embedded in two straps that crossed his chest. Mizuki examined the man's face and noticed that the former Kyuubi brat no longer wore blonde hair or had blue eyes. He was bald, with a slightly demonic face, red eyes, and small spikes protruding from his head, making Mizuki shiver in fear. It only got worse when Shao Kahn approached him slowly, bloodlust clearly visible in his eyes. "How does it feel, Mizuki? How does it feel to be the weak sniveling worm wiggling around in pain at the hands of your enemy and receiving no mercy? Pain is no longer fun for you, fool? You more than once beat Uzumaki Naruto within an inch of his life any chance you got. You laughed at his suffering. How does it feel to be the one being laughed at?" Mocked Shao Kahn before grabbing Mizuki by the face and hard. It was so hard that the impact embedded Mizuki's head several inches deep within the tree trunk. What is he? He shouldn't be this powerful even for a demon. The Yondaime himself told the village that the demon would never regain even a fraction of its lost power as long as he lived, Mizuki thought as he struggled with his free hand to grasp the massive wrist connected to the massive hand pressing down on his head. You can feel it, Mizuki. Can't you? Closing in around you? The inky darkness seeping in while life leaves your body? I have felt that many times in my life. Some by your hands. Others by Konoha shinobi and civilians thinking they have a right to rip into my flesh with their weapons of choice. Now you will know, Mizuki. Now you will know what it means to suffer. As I have suffered, said Shao Kahn as Mizuki. Mercy, mercy. Pleaded Mizuki behind the giant hand, as Shao Kahn's grin faded and he became enraged. Mercy? You dare ask me for mercy? How many times did Uzumaki Naruto beg for mercy when he was attacked? Huh? You and the other fools in Konoha laughed at him. Look at the demon begging for mercy. Look how the demon cries from the pain we are putting him through. Why should I show someone like you an ounce of mercy, knowing you would? Because you want to rise above your enemies? Offered Mizuki while Shao Kahn's face once more sporting an evil grin. Rise above my enemies? Why rise above my enemies? When I can just crush them into the ground and always be above them? Shao Kahn asked, as Mizuki's fear grew 100-fold. The entire area soon filled with screams as Shao Kahn unleashed his fury, rage, and aggression against one of the many targets the former Emperor of Outworld planned to destroy in the coming years. When he was finished, Shao Kahn walked back to the heart of the bandits' camp, leaving the mangled corpse of a horrified-looking Mizuki for the animals to eat. Looking around, the demonic man discovered a large brown cloak of some sort and wrapped it around his body before sealing away the bandits' loot. With his father no doubt telling the rest of Konoha about his return and what he looked like, Shao Kahn knew his current attire would quickly turn the heads of the people around him before someone from Jiraiya's spy network informed the Toad Sannin of his location. So, for the time being, he would simply be a large figure in a crowd. But first, Shao Kahn needed to get to Wave Country right away. His true home in this realm needed to be defended.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.